Hi everybody, I am Seunghye Sun, the director of Korean Culture Center. Today, we are going to share our ideas about Korean studies here and Korean history studies here, and also the recent Nobel Prize of Hangang. It is my great honor to have Professor Anders Karlsson of SOAS for discussing about Korean studies and Korean history in the United Kingdom. 교수님 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
Thank you so much for coming to our dialogue program.
Thank you. It's my honor to be here. So my name is Anders Karlsson, and I'm a senior lecturer or associate professor in Korean studies at the School of Oriental and African Studies, where I work on Korean history, but also teach in general about Korean culture and society, and also some Korean language as well.
How long did you teach here in SOAS?
So I came in the autumn of 2000, so for 24 years.
Wow,
I've
24
been here
years,
now, yes.
yeah.
I moved from Sweden and I came here.
From Sweden to
Yes,
here.
yes.
And then just you start teaching Korean history here for more than 20 years.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So today I want to have a kind of share our conversations about 5 key topics and for our discussions. I want to learn just the short history of Korean studies in the United Kingdom.
So in the United Kingdom, like in many other European countries, I think Korean studies comes out of an academic tradition that focused a lot on philology, on language. So in the beginning, a lot of the focus for Korean studies would have been on language, also on older forms of language as well. And then the earliest disciplines would be using that language, it would be using your knowledge of both contemporary Korean language, but also older languages, to look at history, to look at literature. So Bill Skilland, the first professor at SOAS, as he worked on classical Korean literature. So that's the beginning where it started from. But of course, over the years, it has expanded a lot. Many other disciplines that we can see as well. And of course, the last 10 to 15 years, a really kind of explosion and a lot of interest in more screen culture, popular culture, bringing in more kind of cultural studies, maybe social sciences into those kind of interests as well.
As I said, it is quite exciting, just the first in Korean language and then Korean classical languages. And then now you mentioned about 15 years ago and 16 years ago, just Korean studies and kind of expand to some kind of areas of films and social and political studies. And do you feel any kind of special turning point and any reasons? And just Korean studies are kind of expand in the areas in interest in the United Kingdom?
Yeah, I mean, I think these kind of developments started before what we call the Korean wave. And I think it is in general, Korean films started to become more known, well known in various festivals. And then later on, of course, we do have the development of the internet, and many people have more easily access to things Korean, and they start to get interested. They can go beyond the kind of traditional media and find things, and just find things on the internet and find it interesting, Korean material, and they want to know more about Korea. So I think it's just the bigger picture of Korean culture and then Korea in general becoming more well known around the world.
There is any change of the students' numbers of undergraduate and MA and PhDs at your school?
Yeah, so we've had a huge increase in the number of students, in particular on our BA degrees, so BA Korean. So when I started, it might be maybe 5 new students every year. Now I should say maybe around 50 students. Yes. So that's a huge increase. We do have a lot of PhD students as well coming to work with us. And once again, on a wide range of subject that they're interested in.
Yeah, it is a kind of 5 students to 50 students.
Yes, for an undergraduate program, it's quite remarkable.
It is really remarkable.
Yeah.
And there is I have 2 questions pop up in my mind. The first question is, your research topic has any change when you start and teaching here? And then I also want to know what kind of topics then do the students have interest in their kind of research?
Okay, so for me, historians have a tendency to go further back and further back in history. So for me, I did my PhD dissertation on the Hongyeong. So it's basically the early 19th century social history. I was interested in living conditions in the countryside, the kind of relationship between central power and the provincial areas. And then I have been slowly moving further back into histories, into the Cheongjo period, into the Yeongjo period. And I'm still very much interested in the relationship between the state and the people, and how kind of state policies would affect the population in general. So I've been looking a lot into agricultural situation, looking into crop failure and famine in the countryside, something that becomes a prominent problem when we do get into this period. So what did the state do? What kind of policies did the state provide? How did they help people in times of famines? And also in terms of other disasters. We could also see more frequent floodings from the late 18th century onwards. So once again, what did the state do? How did they help people? How did they try to prevent these things? So I'm moving slightly backward in time and slightly changing topic, but it's still the same kind of areas that I'm interested in. And I'm also done a lot of work on more legal history. Legal history as well. So once again, it is very much the relationship between the state and the people. So how did the state try to maintain social order, social control, and what were the kind of limits in terms of what they could do, but also how did people react to what the state did in terms, as I said, of trying to keep social order.
It is quite an important topic, the relationships between our kind of state and people.
Yeah.
I think just you mentioned your history studies just go back to past, but that topic is still just very live in Korean society.
Yes.
And could you please say what is the kind of Korean style of relationships in between state and people? If you compare other kind of China, Japan, or other European countries?
I do think that in the Korean case, and I do think that is a tradition going back into the Joseon period, we have that kind of public discussion going on very much. A lot of people are engaged in political issues. And of course, if we go back to the Joseon period, we can see that as well. So we do have many intellectuals. They might have positions in the bureaucracy, but as independent intellectuals, they would also discuss these kind of matters. So I think just the constant presence of a lot of discussion about social issues, a lot of discussions about political issues. I think you could see that as some kind of tradition. I said, yes, as an historian, I tend to go back in time, not up in time to the modern times. But yeah, that would be my view. And you also asked about our PhD students. So overall, I would say in our school, and I think that would be the same in many universities, there has been this shift towards more modern, more contemporary topics that students are interested in. I still do get students that are interested in the Joseon period. They want to look at more traditional topics. And it could be many of them are interested in intellectual history, religion around that time, how Confucianism worked, but also social issues. I have students who worked on the Nobi system a little bit. I have one student now working on Yeolyo, the virtuous women. Another student just started and she works on the 19세기 수렴 정정. So those kind of issues as well. So many students, it's not so much the kind of traditional political history, that they're rather looking at more kind of gender issues or these kind of more social issues in their research. And that's for me. And then we have, of course, other colleagues at SOAS have students that work on modern Korean history, working on North Korea, working on Korean art history. It's a wide range of topics.
Yeah, it is quite impressive because you mentioned and your research topic is you mentioned public discussion. and Korean intellectual, a kind of some reaction or discuss. I think it is quite similar in these days. Our kind of public discussions and go to the internet. And many people are kind of express their kind of opinions through the kind of SNS and many things. And many Korean intellectuals express in their own ideas. And then just your students, like, wow, 열려, and 수렴청정. I think it is one of the very have the depth of the understand Korean tradition. And so you lead and very important an aspect of Korean understanding Korea here in UK.